Have you ever been driving alone at night, miles away from the nearest town, and noticed a gas station glowing in the darkness? A place that shouldn't even be open, yet somehow the lights are on, the pumps are working, and someone appears to be waiting for you. Tonight's story is about one such place, a forgotten gas station hidden along an abandoned highway, a place locals avoid after midnight, because those who stop there don't always leave alone. It happened in the winter of 2019. My name is Daniel. At the time, I worked as a sales representative and spent most of my life driving from one state to another. One night, I was returning home after a business trip. The weather was terrible. Cold rain hammered against my windshield. The road ahead disappeared into darkness. According to my GPS, the nearest town was over 50 miles away, and my fuel gauge was nearly empty. At 12:37 a.m., the warning light came on. I cursed under my breath. There was no way I'd make it to the next city. Then I saw it, a gas station, standing alone beside the highway. Its old neon sign flickered weakly. The words "Miller's Gas and Service" blinked on and off. I had never seen it before. I drove this route regularly, yet somehow this station had never appeared on my GPS. Still, I needed fuel, so I pulled in. The parking lot was completely empty. No cars, no trucks, nothing. Just the sound of rain and distant thunder. The station looked decades old. Paint peeled from the walls. Several windows were boarded up. The main building looked abandoned, yet the pumps were illuminated, and the open sign glowed red behind the glass door. Something about the place felt wrong, but I convinced myself I was simply tired. I stepped out. The air felt unnaturally cold. Not winter cold. Different. Like walking into a freezer. I inserted my card. The pump started immediately. As the fuel filled my tank, I noticed movement inside the station. A man stood behind the counter, watching me, perfectly still. I raised my hand. He didn't respond. He just stared. I couldn't clearly see his face through the rain-covered glass, only his outline, motionless, waiting. When the tank was full, I decided to buy a coffee before continuing my drive. I pushed open the door. A bell rang overhead. The interior smelled old, dusty, like nobody had cleaned it in years. The shelves were mostly empty. Many products were expired. Some cans appeared decades old. The man behind the counter looked to be around 60 years old. His pale skin almost seemed gray. His uniform was faded and stained. His name tag simply read, Jack. "Late night," I said. No answer. He continued staring. Then, after several seconds, he slowly smiled. A smile that never reached his eyes. "You shouldn't be here." I laughed nervously. "Needed gas?" Jack nodded. Then he looked toward the front windows, toward my car. "Leave before 1. I frowned. "What happens at 1? The smile disappeared. "Customers arrive." A chill ran through my body. I checked my watch. 12:51 a.m. 9 minutes until 1. I grabbed a coffee and paid. Jack accepted the money without looking down. His eyes never left mine. As I headed for the door, he spoke again. "If they wave at you, don't wave back." Outside, the rain had become heavier. I climbed into my car and locked the doors. The engine started instantly. Relieved, I pulled away from the pump. Then my headlights illuminated something. A figure, standing near the edge of the highway. A woman. She wore a white dress, completely soaked by rain. She stood perfectly still, watching the gas station, watching me. I pressed harder on the accelerator. The station disappeared behind me. Within minutes, I felt ridiculous. Maybe the old clerk was just strange. Maybe the woman was a hitchhiker. Nothing supernatural, nothing dangerous, just people. Then my phone lost signal. At exactly 1 a.m., the radio died. Static filled the speakers, and the temperature inside the car dropped dramatically. I looked in the rearview mirror. My blood froze. A vehicle was behind me. An old black sedan. Its headlights were off, yet somehow it kept pace. I had never seen it approach. There were no side roads, no intersections, no explanation. The sedan remained exactly 50 feet behind me. No closer, no farther. I accelerated. It matched my speed. I slowed down. It slowed down. For nearly 10 minutes, it followed me. Then the radio crackled. Through the static came a voice, a whisper. "Wave back." I nearly swerved off the road. The voice repeated, "Wave back." Then another voice joined it, and another, and another. Dozens of whispers filled the car. "Wave back! Wave back! Wave back!" My hands shook on the steering wheel. The black sedan suddenly moved beside me. I glanced over. "Ah!" and screamed. The windows were filled with faces, pale faces, men, women, children, dozens of them, pressed against the glass, their mouths stretched into impossible smiles, and every single one of them was waving, slowly, patiently, waiting. Remembering Jack's warning, I kept my eyes forward. I refused to acknowledge them. The sedan remained beside me for several miles, then vanished. Not turned, not slowed, vanished, as though it had never existed. I finally reached a small town around 2 a.m. The first thing I noticed was a police station. I pulled in immediately. The officers listened carefully as I explained everything. When I mentioned Miller's Gas and Service, the room became silent. One officer exchanged nervous glances with another. Finally, he asked, "Are you sure that's the name?" I nodded. The officer slowly opened a drawer. He removed an old newspaper clipping. The headline read, "7 Killed in Highway Gas Station Fire." The article was dated 1978. According to the report, a gas station called Miller's Gas and Service had exploded after midnight. The owner, Jack Miller, and 6 customers died instantly. The station was destroyed. I felt sick. "Destroyed?" I asked. The officer nodded. "It hasn't existed for over 40 years. My stomach dropped. I told them I had just been there. The officer looked genuinely disturbed. Then he said something I will never forget. "You're not the first person." He explained that every few years a traveler reported finding the station, always after midnight, always during heavy rain, and every witness described the same clerk, the same warning, and the same black sedan. But not everyone survived. Several drivers had disappeared over the years. Their vehicles were later discovered abandoned along the highway, empty. No signs of struggle,
No trace of the drivers. Only one strange detail remained. Inside each abandoned vehicle, police found wet handprints on the passenger side window, as if someone had been waving from outside. I never drove that highway again. Years passed. I tried convincing myself it had all been a hallucination. Exhaustion, stress, anything. Then last year, I received an email. Attached was a photograph. No message, no explanation, just a picture. The image showed a lonely gas station at night, rain falling, neon lights flickering, and standing behind the front window was Jack, staring directly at the camera, smiling. The timestamp on the image read 1 a.m. At the bottom of the photograph, someone had written 4 words. Thanks for not waving. If you enjoyed tonight's story, subscribe to Night Horror Talk for more terrifying tales from the darkness. And remember, if you're driving alone after midnight and you see an old gas station that shouldn't exist, keep driving, because some customers never leave.